So you want to write a book. I'm here to give you some tips to help you along the way. Hey everyone, I'm Lenn Woolston, and I am here today because I am sharing my top 10 tips for writing your first book. These are all tips that I wish I had known going into writing my first book, so let's get to it. Now, I will say that most of these tips pertain to fiction writing. They also can be converted into helpful tips for nonfiction writers, so keep that in mind. Tip number 1 is to define what you want to say. This goes beyond, I want to write a romance, or, I think I want to write the next big thing that is bigger than Lord of the Rings. Whatever that is, you want to be able to define what it is that you're trying to say. Are you purely wanting to write a story just for entertainment purposes, or are you wanting to kind of have a message about something as far as how you've been able to overcome certain obstacles in your life that you want to integrate into a story? And do you want to write fiction or nonfiction? Defining exactly what it is you want to write will help you on your course for writing your first book so that you have a clear vision as to what this book is going to be about. Tip number 2 is to focus on character, not just plot. This was a huge mistake that I made in my first book. I was so fixated on what was going to happen in the story, what kind of twists and turns that I wanted to, that I ended up with kind of a flat character. And that's not what you want. Now, again, these are all things that you could edit out later, but as your first book, you definitely want to focus on who your character is. What is it that they really want? Why do they want that thing? And what's getting in their way? Being better acquainted on who your character is, especially your main character, is really going to help you really shine on their voice and on their journey as they go through this obstacle that is going to be the story that you're going to put them through. So knowing who they are, not just what happens to them, will really solidify them to be a three-dimensional character that your readers will love. My third tip is to outline, even if it's a very simple outline. Outlines are great because they help you navigate how your story is going to end up when you reach the end. It also is just a great way to kind of put yourself on the path of the story and keep yourself from going out into the woods and getting stuck into writing yourself into the middle of nowhere. So outlining is great. It can be as simple as you having your beginning character, your main character, who they are, what it is that they want, and having an inciting incident where something happens to them so that they cannot keep living their normal, and they are propelled into having to make a decision on how to deal with what's happening to them, and to have that rising action, to have that climax where they confront what it is that they have been wanting, and if it's something that they obtain or something that they decide they really didn't want in the resolution. Having a very simple outline will help you along the way. If you know me, I am a hardcore outliner. I swear by them, even though there are some people who, hate them. I definitely recommend having at least a basic outline, again, to keep you on track. Tip number 4 is to commit to your story. I know so many writers that when you ask them about how their journey came about to be for finishing their first novel, there are some people who say that it took them a matter of months, but most often it's several of us who have had this story simmering and we've just kind of been clunking away at it for little bits at a time to equate to years before our final book is finished. And that is okay. But I will say that if you are finally deciding that you are going to write a book, it is best to commit to it. Because yes, it is going to be a labor of love, but if you set small obtainable goals, then you'll be able to kind of create the momentum that you need to finish the book. So it's one thing to say, I want to write a book, but it's another to say that I am going to write a book. And these small goals that I'm talking about can be as small as that this week I'm going to finish a chapter, or this week I am going to give 15 minutes every single day to writing something. Whatever works best for you, definitely commit to small goals, and you will see that bit by bit, brick by brick, as we writers say, you will get close to finishing and actually completing that first novel. Tip number 5 is to let your first draft be rough. We're talking super rough. And I say this because when you are first writing your book, there are times when you will go back and you'll read it and you'll be like, ooh, like, I don't think I did this right, but that's okay. When you're writing your first book, you're going to be learning a lot along the way. And a lot of it is trial and error. So let that first draft be rough because you can always fix it later, but getting it down is what really matters. Tip number 6 is to tell people you're writing a book. You should be excited that you're going to be writing a book, and you should share that enthusiasm with others. Now, I will give you a warning that a lot of people, when they hear that you're writing a book, you're going to get mixed responses. Some people will be like super excited for you and so supportive, and other people will kind of question why all of a sudden are you deciding to write a book. And I tell people to tell other people that they're writing a book because it helps you kind of stay accountable to yourself, that you are putting it out there into the universe, that you're going to be writing a book, and it will help you stick to it. That was something that I didn't do when I was writing my first book, and I kept it very secret, and it was because of a fear of how people were going to take me when I said that I was writing a book. And I really encourage you to do what I didn't do and tell other people, because you need that excitement. You need to have people who are going to be asking, hey, how's your book going? Because that right there will spark you to just keep on going and to keep living in that story, which is exactly what you want. Tip number 7 is to connect with other writers. I would not be able to finish my first book if it weren't for connecting with other writers, because nobody knows what it's like writing a book until they're writing a book. And so surrounding yourself with like-minded people will help you. You will learn from them. You will be encouraged by them. You can ask questions. And I highly recommend that you check out the hashtag writing community all over social media, because there you will be able to meet other people. You will be able to ask questions. And it is a community full of people who want to encourage other people. If you are looking for other ways to also engage with the writing community, I have separate videos for that, which I will link down below in the description box for you to check out. Tip number 8, edit later. Don't worry about all those squiggly lines right now. Don't worry about what the margins look like. Don't worry about whether or not you mentioned that your character had a backpack in the first chapter and now they don't have it in the 5th chapter, and what the heck happened to the backpack. Don't worry. Edit later. One of the things I love doing when I'm writing my first draft is if I catch something like that, I will make literally in Notepad on my computer, I will make a list of all the things that I have to fix and fix it later. Because if I get stumbled on that and I'm trying to think, oh my gosh, I didn't remember to put in this detail, I will be stopped on my word count. And I don't want that to happen for you. So I highly recommend that you make a list of all the things that you can fix later and just keep going. Editing is when you're supposed to edit. Drafting is when you're supposed to be drafting. So don't worry about editing yet. Tip number 9 is remember it's not easy, but it's worth it. You will find that many times when you are trying to draft your book, you will be hitting a wall. Some days your words are going to be flowing like a waterfall. And others, it's not. It's going to be super frustrating, and you're going to feel like you can't write this book. But you can. You can, as long as you remember that, you know what? It's not supposed to be easy. Nothing in life is worth anything if it just comes easy. This really is a labor of love. So I urge you to keep motivational things around you. So one of the things that I really like to do when I'm kind of like stuck in this is I love to look to motivational quotes that are written by other authors, because it really comes down to you needing to pull yourself out of this rut. And it's very hard sometimes because you do get stuck. You do hit that wall just like runners do. That is very much common. And no matter what stage you are writing your book, it could be your first book, it could be your 25th book. It doesn't matter, because you will find that at some point along that journey when you're trying to get that story, you're gonna have a rough patch. But keep going, because it is worth it. The world needs your story. And finally, tip number 10 is write the damn book. Don't just say that you're going to do it. Actually do it. Go get some words right now. Go jot down a new thing that you're going to do this week, a new goal. Do something. You've got to get this book done. It's another thing to say that you're going to write, but you are committing today that you are going to write the damn book. So get on it. So there you have it. Those are my 10 tips for you if you are writing your first book. And I really want to know, what is it that you are planning to write with your first book? Go ahead and leave them in the comment section down below. I love to hear what you guys are working on so that I can support you along the way. Feel free to check out my socials where you can follow all of my adventures. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe on your way out. With that, I hope you guys have an amazing week, a great weekend, and until next video, bye!